as usual, and we will fill for a minute as usual,
Mm-hmm.
and then we will talk about things and also stuff. Man, maybe not stuff.
Mm, I don't know if I'm up for stuff, but
I'm up for stuff. Oh, yeah. Hmm. We are really good at filling for a minute, in case you can't tell. Everyone just got real quiet.
Well, I was just waiting for someone to start something.
Oh, man.
Waiting for someone to give us a topic to talk about.
I meant.
the more the
Damn it.
more mass a creature
Okay,
has,
no.
it, no, this is gonna be about how much food they need to eat in 24-hour period to sustain itself, right?
Yeah, like I said, no. Um,
I was
definitely
gonna
not.
make a joke about worms eating worms, but all right, go ahead.
I, I just realized I missed a free $50.
Oh, dang it!
How'd that happen?
DoorDash was like, "Hey, if you get state certified or whatever, yeah, it's a state certification to deliver alcohol. We'll give you $50." But that ended on the 31st, and I forgot all about it because
Oh,
I
wow.
got it. Uh, I got the email like I don't remember what was going on that day. I had like a killer headache or something,
Mm-hmm.
and I just completely forgot about it completely. And then I just got a follow up email that didn't mention the $50 bonus, and I said, "Oh, wait, I thought there was a bonus." Yeah, it turns out that ended on the 31st. Damn it!
Six.
Bad at this game. Not that I really care about,
Transporting alcohol.
yeah, transporting alcohol, but I do care about $50.
Free $50. Yeah,
Oh well. All right, so
those are the right priorities.
let's do the thing. Here we go. Actually, there's no sense doing an intro. I'll just use all of that. So hello, everybody. I'm Chewie, and there are also Dorks, and
Yep.
we're not doing a actual podcast episode because nobody bothered to reply to anything until last night, and then nobody came up with anything. So we're not
We're
doing
really
magic.
bad at this game.
Brian and Dirk replied.
Yeah, Brian was like, "Let's do a Mad Lib," and that was literally it. And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Thanks."
I was curious to see if anyone would say anything else.
And then Dirk said this morning, "I'm good for tomorrow for today," and I was like, "Great, you
I saw
guys."
Yeah,
And then Mike said nothing until an hour before start time.
Yeah.
and said, "Yes, I'm good to go." And we're like, "All right."
Well, at that point, we'd already decided, screw it, let's just chatting. And
Yeah.
yeah.
So maybe next week we'll do the follow up to what we did last week, and then we'll be into Dominaria previews.
Freaking previews.
I forget the name of the new set.
It doesn't matter.
I like Dominaria,
Is it
so I'm
Dominaria Forever? What's it called? That's not that right.
Dominaria 2 Electric Boogaloo.
that was what I was gonna say. So I remain hopeful that will be interesting. So
Going back to Dominaria again?
Yes, we are.
yes, Dirk.
I think it's called
For-
Dominaria United, right?
Maybe.
At least that's
It's
what
the
the
30th.
the thread in the Discord under the MTG channel is named Dominaria United Previews.
Then probably. Um. But it's the 30th anniversary of Magic, Dirk. So, yeah.
Yeah. And since they did literally nothing for the 25th anniversary, they decided for 30 they're going to actually do a thing.
Yep.
Yay. But anyway, so yes, I'm Chewie. There's Brian.
Yep.
There's Dirk.
That's a me.
And there's Mike.
I'm here.
And see, I did
You
it
just
out of
do
order
the-
on purpose.
Did you just do the Mario, like, it's a me?
That's me. That's how I roll.
It's a me, Dirk.
This
Green
mean,
is metal.
does this mean on the title screen I can stretch Dirk's face out to really, like, grotesque mannerisms?
Why
Well-
would you wait for the title screen? Just do it next time you see Dirk.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
I was about to say, Chewie's got to learn a little bit more computer graphics, like lingo and how to do all that before he can do that on the title screen.
And by a little more, he means any at all. So, a couple things real quick. The first video on the deep end is up. For anyone who didn't know, I mentioned on the last episode that hopefully by the time the episode was up, the first one would be up. And it was. But, yay. It is the first part of the JWST stream that Clues and I did. The second one, I'm not going to lie, I haven't even started on yet, because by the time I got that one done, I needed to finish the damn Cuphead video. But yeah, if you can find, I'll put links. I mean, I've put links everywhere. Just go to any sort of social media thing that's mine, and you'll find a link to the video and the channel. If you haven't subscribed, I would appreciate it, because I can't actually monetize anything on that channel until we hit 1,000 subscribers, which is so nice of YouTube to place that restriction. However many years ago they did that. Bastards.
YouTube.
And yeah, the second one of that, I'm gonna start on that this weekend. I would do it tomorrow, but I'm taking tomorrow off. But I'll get to that in a minute. In other news, the second Cuphead video is done. It is uploaded. I made the thumbnail. While I was talking to the dorks, I did most of the YouTube stuff, except for ad placement, I think. Now I've got to double check. But yeah, I did most of the YouTube stuff. So that will be going up. It's the second Cuphead DLC, Delicious Last Course. It took me way too long to realize that Cuphead DLC was called Cuphead, the Delicious Last Course.
I just got that, but I don't play Cuphead, so to be fair, my reason is that I'm just kind of hearing this now, so that's cute.
Yeah. But, yeah, I've been fighting with the second Cuphead DLC video for, I mean, ever since I was done with the first one. The first one, I just looked, went up on the 4th of last month. I took a week off, a week and a half, to work on the Deep End video, which means I've been fighting with that video for like 2.5 weeks. And the software, something about my editing software did not like what I had done with that video. Like, it was constantly crashing. And after about 3 crashes, I have to walk away, or else I'm going to throw my computer. So, and once it crashes once, it's going to keep crashing. So 3 crashes pile up pretty quick. And then I have to walk away. And it didn't help that one of those bosses took over an hour to beat, like the giant. It was like an hour and 6 minutes or something total footage for just that one boss. So I was like, okay, I'm going to have to cut this up a lot. And I cut it up a lot. And I don't know why. Something about the way that, it's not called Vegas anymore, Movie Studio Platinum works is, I think when you cut something up, it treats it as a separate thing. And the more cuts I made, the more things that it had to, like, load separately. And if I tried to do too many things at once, you know, like click and split the track and move something, it would be like, ah! And crash. And I would go, ah! And yeah. But I finished it, like, finally finished the first pass last night after whatever I streamed last night, which has already fallen off. Rogue Legacy. Instead of getting up and going to sit on the couch like I said I would and finish reading Sandman Overture, I sat here and finished getting through the initial edit, which only had something like 7 or 8 minutes of untouched footage left. But it takes a while to actually do it, especially when stuff is crashing. And I got it all done. I went, yes! And I saved. And I said, I'm not going to do this tonight. I'm just going to walk away. And tomorrow, I will sit down and run through it again and add polish and things that I wanted to add that I didn't because I was afraid the software would crash. And while I was doing all that today, it didn't crash once. And I was like, which, I mean, I appreciated it, but like, bruh. And yeah, like I said, it's all up. And it's not out for anybody yet because I had to DoorDash and then I had to do, this. So I'll get that done and it'll go up soon. Or go out soon. Yay!
Go up and out.
It was such... Oh, God. It was such a chore. And it was weird. The more frustrated that Stream Chewie got, the more frustrated editing Chewie got. So it really makes perfect sense that the boss that roadblocked me in the game is also the video that roadblocked me
in real life.
Yeah. But I think
sometimes art mimics reality.
Unfortunately. So that was something. What else? And I'm taking tomorrow off, like I said, because Sandman drops on Netflix tomorrow, and I'm gonna watch it. Because Sandman is my favorite comics thing that has ever. And the fact that Good Omen... Now, I don't do favorites. If someone goes, what's your favorite? Whatever. I go, I don't know. And I'll like rattle off a list of 3 or 4 things. But when it comes to books, it's Good Omen. And Good Omens was amazing. And then the adaptation of it was brilliant. And it's because Neil Gaiman was in charge. And then
I liked the adaptation quite a bit. I don't know if it's like in my top whatever, but it's up there.
It is way up there. And then Neil Gaiman was also in charge of all of Sandman. And like I said, that's my favorite comics thing that has ever. So in the lead up to it, once I got all my books back from Mom, because Mom, when she found out that the show was coming, she's like, oh, can I borrow those again? I want to read them again before the show starts. And I'm like, all of them? She's like, yeah. Okay. Like, the show's probably only going to cover like the first 2. She's like, that's okay. All right. So so I got them all back from her, including 2 that I had never read that I found at Barnes & Noble. I went to Barnes & Noble with Amanda and her kid just randomly. And so, of course, I went to the graphic novel section and was looking there, and I found Sandman, the Dream Hunters. And I was like, this isn't a comic. What is this doing here? And I picked it up, and it was a comic. It was a comics adaptation of The Dream Hunters, which was an illustrated prose book originally. And so I grabbed that, and then there was something else there called Sandman Overture. And I said, what the hell is this? And so I bought it too. And that was months and months and months ago. And I just added them to Mom's pile. And she slowly but surely got through all of the books. And that is the one with the art from Yoshitaka Amano. Yeah. The original version, anyway. The comics adaptation is P. Craig Russell. So yeah. But I finished all of that. I finished Overture last night. And it's so okay. The original run of Sandman is 10 graphic novels, which was 75 issues of the actual individual comic. So I've got books 1 through 10. I've also got The Dream Hunters, so that's 11. And then Overture was 12. And Overture is a prequel that Gaiman claims to have had running around in his head for 20 years.
Okay.
That is what happened immediately before the first issue. And it was mind-bending. And yeah. And had a lot of... I guess I'll call them callbacks, but a lot of references to things from the rest of the series that hadn't happened yet, which was really cool to see called forwards, I guess. So, yeah, it was also really good. And it just came out like within the last 6 or 7 years, I want to say, and I'd never even heard of it. So it was pretty great. And then I don't know if it's because I read Sandman Overture and was subconsciously contemplating the nature of dreams, but I had dreams that like dug into my brain and would not let me, or didn't want to let me wake up. Oh my God, Jars is in the chat.
Wow.
Yay.
Hey, buddy.
Are you sure it's
Jars.
not an imposter?
Jars is the person what drew all of those dorks that you see there on the screen. And Lamp Rouge is here too? What the hell? It's like Old Home Week. Nice. But anyway, yeah. So, okay. I am not to the age yet where I have to get up and pee in the middle of the night, like ever. Which, this is related, I promise. And last night, I did, and I almost didn't because I was deep in some kind of dream, and when my bladder woke me up, I consciously went, nope, and tried to go back to sleep. And my bladder went, and I said, nope, and tried to go back to sleep. And then my bladder was like, do you want me to just right here? And I was like, fine, I'll get up. Damn it. And I lost whatever that dream was. Oh, and Pinball gifted a sub to Jars. Nice. Now Jars can say that I'm bad at this game. and all the other streamers too. But yeah, and then when I woke up this morning, I woke up in the middle of the night again at some point, and I don't know why. But like, I know that my brain was more in the dream than in the real world, because I rolled over and looked towards the door, and something about the shadows cast by various light sources, it made it look like my Chewbacca stand-up, who's behind me here in the office, was inside my door in my bedroom, which, had I been fully awake, that would have woken me up, given me that shot of adrenaline that made me go, huh! And I reached over, but it didn't do that. Instead, I just reached over and turned on the light, and nothing was there, and I went, yep, and turned the light back off. And then that's when my bladder was like, get up! And I said, okay, fine. But that's the sort of thing, though, that would have made me be like, what? But it didn't, because I wasn't awake. I was only sort of in the waking world, and it was awkward. And then yeah, when my alarm went off, I just reached over and punched it, and it's so it would snooze, and so I could go back to pick up the dream. And I did once, and then the next two snoozes I didn't, and I was very upset. I have no idea what I was dreaming at anymore. Some dreams stick with me, and these absolutely did not, but I knew I did not want to leave. And I really am going to chalk that up to the fact that I was reading Sandman for the last, I don't know, month. But Overture especially, which is really weird. But anyway. So yeah, I'm taking tomorrow off. I'm not working on anything, no videos, no podcasts, no nothing. I'm going to wake up. Oh, I didn't go to the grocery store. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to not make a smoothie. Damn it. I might wake up and go to the grocery store first. Damn it! Anyway, and I'm going to sit on the couch and I'm going to watch Sandman and I'm going to live there. Possibly until it's over, possibly not. Hey, look, Dirk resubbed too. Thanks, buddy.
It's me. Yep.
Chewbacca is my sleep paralysis demon. No, it was just in the room. It wasn't on my chest or anything. And it turns out it wasn't in the room either, so I don't guess. Anyway. So that's me. I don't get excited for things, just so everyone is clear. Like, it's a rare thing for me to be like, yes, but I'm super excited to watch Sandman because I saw the teaser trailer and it was perfect. And I think I watched one other trailer at some point, and then I swore them all off forever. I'm like, nope, I'm not watching anymore. I'm just going to watch the show. So, yeah. It has been entertaining watching idiots on social media yell at Neil Gaiman about casting and whatnot. Like, they cast a black girl, woman, whatever the appropriate term is, I don't know how old she is, to play Death, and some nerds, whether racist or not, are super pissed off about it because it's not true to his vision. And Neil Gaiman, not in these words, but in this tone, was like, motherfucker, I am the Vision.
Meaning he knew what was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, about to say, he can choose, you know what, I want to go with this route.
Like, and
I'm feeling this route.
Yeah, and he's the one that's in complete control of, I'm pretty sure, of casting and everything. So shut up.
The pretext of this is not what the author would want is just pretext.
Yeah, but I say your opinion on that is moot.
It really is.
Stephen King has a 7/8, depending on how you look at it, book series called The Dark Tower. And a couple of years ago, they adapted kind of one of the books, kind of the whole series in general, into a movie. It had issues and tried to basically do too much, in my opinion, as far as hey, we don't know if we're going to do any more of these, so let's just do one. And it borrows elements from a couple of the books, and that's fine. The books very much have a multiverse theory kind of built in to their world or worlds, so that's fine that you can do that. Like, oh, here's this story from a different perspective. But the lead character in all the books is Roland Deschain, and I'm probably mispronouncing that last name, and the author has said more than once, basically, he wanted to evoke Clint Eastwood. His name is the Gunslinger, and every description is very close to like a Clint Eastwood Western kind of look. And how dare they cast I'm not sure, Idris Elba in the part, and he knocked it out of the park. But of course, people at the first trailer were like, no, 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 no. And Stephen King was like, I understand what they're doing this, and either I okayed it, or I either cast this, or I'm all right with it. Either way, just shut up and watch the movie. And funny enough, they cast Matthew McConaughey as the antagonist, and he was not exactly the way he's portrayed in the books. And for some reason, some white reason I can't think of at the moment, I can't put my white finger on it. Nobody complained about that. Yeah. I would love to say the movie was fantastic, and it wasn't. But I mean, if you just go into it like, oh, it's just a movie, that's fine. So, point being, this seems to be a thing that happens. Oh no, a person of color. Oh no.
Yeah, Idris Elba caught hell for being Heimdall too.
Dumb.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
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 Because, that matters in an alien race of space Vikings. Sure.
I think it kind of does to, like, serious supremacists, because I read a bit about this at the time, and if I remember correctly, one of Heimdall's appellations is the whitest of the Aesir, or something like that.
Oh, it's even funnier then. Always punch Nazis, kids.
Okay, yeah, Brian, you were right. Idris Elba is an officer of the Order of the British Empire.
I looked that up too. Oh. Yeah, it's in, what did that say? 2016? I already closed the window.
Yes, 2016.
Yeah. Which means apparently Sir Idris Elba, but no one calls him that. that I've ever seen. Is that a sir? Do you get a sir for being an OBE?
I don't know. There's lots of different levels.
There are, yeah.
How they work.
Britain is weird.
Okay, the senior. Okay, it's just the senior 2 ranks, either the Knight Grand Cross or Knight Commander, where you get the title Sir, Sir or
Okay.
Dame.
Gotcha. So OBE is not a sir.
Yeah.
Which would be why we don't call him that. Okay.
Okay.
Glad we cleared
Please.
that up.
He's sir to me.
Yeah, like I'm going to call him sir, but not as an appellation, just as a sir. It's like who? It's like the old, where does an 800-pound gorilla sit wherever he wants? It's like what roles does Idris Elba get? Whichever ones he wants.
The roles, yeah, yeah. You look him in the eye and you say yes sir, no sir.
But he's so good. Like,
Yeah.
what is the cop show Luther? British cop show where he's the main character. He was really good in that, and that was before he like blew up over here.
I want to say he was in a fantastic made-for-TV adaptation of Othello. I can't say that for certain, but if he was, he did an outstanding job. Gee, it's almost like he's a great actor or something. Am I right?
Good Lord. Is this right? This is a list. Thanks,
So,
IMDb.
So the girl that's playing Death, what else has she done before since,
Oh, this is a list of something people would like to see.
wish list?
No, and IMDb is freaking useless these days.
I used to be on it quite a bit, but that was also at the days when I watched, movies. So.
All right, now I'm determined to find out. Idris Elba was in Troilus and Cressida. But apparently not Othello. At least not that I can find on the internet. So, Brian, you're just being racist.
That's me.
But anyway, what are we doing? What was that question that was just asked? Somebody just said something.
I just asked what other stuff has the girl that's playing Death, what else has she done?
I have no idea because I don't know who she is because I have not been paying any attention to
Okay, well then.
any of that because I don't want to know.
Well, and this could be her first out, and
it is not.
Okay.
Blah blah blah.
But I'm just saying, even if it was, that clearly, that wouldn't be a strike against her, but.
Kirby Howell Baptiste. Oh, I recognize her. Why do I recognize her? Oh my God, she was in The Good Place. Oh, that's why I recognize her.
What part did she take did she play in The Good Place?
She was Simone. Chidi's fellow professor.
Yes.
There you go.
Thank you.
I could see your brain like hard drive trying to spin up.
I was trying to remember. I watched that series twice, so which is kind of unusual for me, but I still, man, that the ending of that really got me. So good, actually good quality programming. But
oh yeah, I can see her as Death. She's very happy and bubbly, which is the whole thing about being DC's Death. Like name any other Death you've ever seen say peachy keen and mean it. Marvel Death? No. Grim Reaper Death? No. Like if Grimm from Billy and the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy ever said it, he said it sarcastically.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway. Oh, okay. Well, now I'm looking even more forward to that. Yay! Oh man. So talking about races, should we talk about? Or should we make fun of Alex Jones now?
We can make fun
Yeah,
of
sure.
him. That's fine.
Oh, absolutely.
Ah, what an idiot.
Yeah.
Okay, Pinball pointed out she could see the Discworld death saying it, but he wouldn't really understand it. Yeah, he would say it like he was tasting something funny. Peachy Keen? Anyway, so yeah, the big thing that happened with Alex Jones is he was on the witness stand in this case that the Sandy Hook parents have filed against him. Hey, Bogard, thank you for the 20-month resub. He was on the witness stand. On the stand. I would like to just emphasize this. When he found out from the cross-examining lawyer that...
Not his counsel, the opponent's counsel.
Yeah. That his lawyers accidentally sent a digital copy of all of his text communications to them. And when they were made aware of it, they didn't do anything to mark it as privilege that the opposing counsel couldn't use. So they used it.
Yeah.
On the stand.
On the stand is when he found out about this. Was on the witness stand in mid-lie.
Not only did they send that to him, they did not inform their client of this breach.
Yup.
And they also informed him
as a lawyer, that's a problem. Sorry, go ahead.
They also said that they were going to send those the messages to the January 6th committee as well.
Yeah. So that happened yesterday, and then this morning, his attorneys, not the one that probably turned everything over, but his team of legal attorneys filed a motion for a hearing before the judge, and so before they brought in the jury or anything like that, she heard the motion. And what I love watching this, and you can go back and watch it because all of this is live streamed, which I have thoughts about, and I'll get back to that in a minute. But before they got started with that, the plaintiff's attorney, again, not his attorney on the other side, said, "Your Honor, before we get started with this, I've been contacted by government agencies." He didn't say which ones, asking if this was going to be live streamed. And the judge said, "Oh, it is. It's on right now." And she pointed in the direction of the camera. He's like, "Okay, we're good to proceed." So, and then they had the hearing, and then yes, it came out later that oh yeah, my 2 cents on this: there are certain things that are still privileged, and even if they are requested by the other side in the process we call discovery, and that's your period where you send your opposing counsel information that they've requested, and that can take lots of forms, and I'm not going to go into that because this isn't a law class, but this
just go watch My Cousin Vinny for a quick
My Cousin Vinny is great. We watched it in evidence class. It gets a lot more right than it gets wrong, and the parts it gets wrong are just comedic effect. No, it's good. But this happens in both criminal cases, like what I do, and in civil cases, which this is a civil case because he's being sued. And so discovery has to be turned over. And just because they request something does not mean it necessarily gets turned over. There may be reasons to keep that information back. One of the most common ones is if something is attorney work product, meaning you don't get to see the notes that I've made. That's me. That's for myself. There may be other information that again is still covered by privilege. You can still ask for it, and then it can be that discovery motion can be denied at certain parts. But largely, it's so that you share information back and forth so that parties can get ready for trials and hearings. And I guess either in response to a discovery request or they just volunteered it, they gave a link to some digital information, and that link included links to this information. Um, and the attorney on the other side, the plaintiff's attorney, actually recognized that this was probably privileged information, pointed it out to them, and said, "I think you messed this up." And then the other side said, "Oops." And so when they're having this hearing today, they're basically saying that he used that even though he shouldn't have. And therefore, we think this is a mistrial. And the plaintiff's attorney waited for them to finish. And then when it was his turn, he got up and he said, "I need to correct them on basically everything they've just said. Yes, I saw this. Yes, I saw this. And yes, I communicated it to them." And then they didn't take the proper steps. They're supposed to follow the proper steps under the rules of professional conduct. And not only are there federal ethics rules, but every state also has ethics rules. Um, and there's the general categories, and there's lots of subsections. I know a couple off the top of my head. The biggest one, in North Carolina, probably by far, although there's a case for a lot of these, is Rule 1.6, which is uh, goes further on privilege than even attorney-client privilege does on its own. It covers additional stuff and privileges other stuff that I talk about with clients and even with other people that aren't my client in preparation for a criminal case or a civil case. So they were saying the plaintiff's argument here was we brought this to them and then they just as Chewie they didn't follow the appropriate steps and now they're complaining to your honor. They're here to basically be like, oh, but he's not doing this correct. He said that wasn't on me, that was on them. And the judge denied the motion and request for a mistrial. And then the jury came back and awarded damages in the amount of $4.1 million. Now I'm sure it will be appealed. These things regularly go through the appeals process, whether you like it or not. That's how this works.
And as far as I saw, that's compensatory damages, not punitive. That's coming later.
That is my understanding as well, although I leave civil cases to far more interested attorneys who, I mean, just, I bless them. I really do. I think every attorney has a function to serve. Real estate attorneys, civil attorneys, med mal attorneys, really do good work because we need to hold doctors, accountable. And I say that as with a family member that is a doctor, but I think accountability is good for everything. So I'm not knocking anyone, but I just look at what I'm sure these lawyers have been through over the last weeks and months and years of preparation for this, and I think I would have probably gorged my eyes out. So
But
I'm not going to pretend to know everything that they do. I'm not going to pretend to know half the stuff they do. I studied in law school, but I stick to criminal stuff. But yeah, that's my understanding as well. Usually in criminal court, the only damages you're ever really talking about are restitution, because you're not going to get punitive damages. If you want extra damages, you take them to civil court. Criminal court is literally there. Restitution is there to put you back in the exact same position you were in at the time that this happened, not to necessarily better you beyond that. So that's one of the key differences between civil and criminal court. There are many others, but that's one of the big ones. So
also, apparently, there's a second lawsuit. So, because $4 million for Alex Jones is unfortunately not just a whole lot.
Did
So
you hear
I'm
what his
really
attorneys
hoping
request?
do what?
I was gonna say, did you hear what his attorneys requested at their closing?
No.
They requested, and keep in mind, it's his attorneys. This is their whole job is to protect him. But they requested, at this point they had basically already lost, and they were just on for damages. They requested that the jury return damages in $8. Basically,
D-
$1 for each lawsuit. So
Wow.
again, they're not really doing their job if they're just like, yeah, he's a scumbag. Rock him, sock him, do what you got to do. That would be
Although
unethical on their part.
it made me so happy watching the judge. Like I've seen several clips where she was just like, "Mr. Jones, just answer the question. Mr. Jones,
Yeah.
just answer the question. Just answer the question, Mr. Jones. Do not no, just answer the question." And like going all the way up to, but stopping just short of physically rolling her eyes at the camera.
She's supposed to be impartial as much as humanly possible. So she can't come out and basically be like, you're pissing me off. Although judges have said that before. I think
Yeah.
at one point she did say this isn't your show.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I heard that one too. That made me happy.
But
So
she's continued to broadcast his podcast while this is going on. So
it has just been asked in the chat as a non-American, what is this context? Okay, so Alex Jones, my parents didn't know either. I asked, did you guys hear about, or asked Mom, did you hear about the Alex Jones thing that happened? And she went, who's Alex Jones? And I was like, oh, you sweet summer child.
there you go. Get a load of this character.
And Pinball Witch threw 10 bits and said, she said, you may not lie under oath. This isn't your show. That was the exact quote. Yes. But, so Alex Jones is the host of InfoWars, an extreme right-wing, I can't even call it news show.
It's
Right
a
wing.
conspiracy. It's a conspiracy show that they try and point out things that are considered conspiracy theory, but not even like not even like Watergate level conspiracy of, the president had something to do with Watergate, like, stuff where you can actually investigate and journalists would legitimately want to investigate. He reports on stuff that just makes you go, that's dumb. That is no.
Not even the fun stuff like Bigfoot and Area 51. Like,
Yeah. I remember years and years ago, I think it was maybe after I had just finished grad school, so this was like almost 15 years ago. Every once in a while when I was, sitting around looking at news on the internet, I would see a link to an InfoWars article and I would click through and like just the headline and the stuff they were talking about. It's like, wow, this is astonishing. Why am I not hearing about this from anywhere else? And then years later, I found out what InfoWars actually was, and I'm like, oh, that's why I'm not hearing
Explains
about it
why.
from anywhere else, because it's just crazy.
yeah, he's anything that's remotely racist or homophobic or anything, he's all over. Like, one of his most famous things is they're putting stuff in the water to turn the friggin' frogs gay. Yes, that is an exact quote.
Yep.
Like you think that the stuff about like Jewish space lasers from the lady in Congress, you're like, oh, well, that's just like one comment she's made, and she said other bad things, but okay. But this is somebody who, this is just what he does.
Yeah. And he is on trial. He was sued by the parents of the children involved in the Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre because one of his favorite conspiracy theories is that none of that happened. It was all a hoax. And they're all crisis actors.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't lose their children. And then all of his psychotic followers jumped on it and started sending these poor people who have already lost a child death threats. So, yeah, they are suing the source of all of that because it was all him.
And that's one thing I had talked with my parents about with regards to him is, it's one thing for you to say, I don't think that was real. Because again, that you get an opinion, but the fact that he was publicizing it, which again is still not it's still not illegal, but the fact that he was riling up people who then were going after these victims, that is where the line got drawn, and they were harassing and threatening them. That's the big deal about this.
Yeah. And I personally, I hope that he gets the worst possible anything anyone can give him. I saw a tweet that said, it is virtually impossible to get the death sentence in a civil trial, but Alex Jones sure does seem like he's trying for it.
Yep.
So, yeah. He is one of the worst people that has ever lived, and I wish nothing but bad things for him forever and ever. Amen.
Well, and the way he makes all his money from all this is not from the show, it's from all the supplements and all the things that he markets off his show.
Yeah, because he's been deplatformed by basically everyone for being awful, and most sponsors anyway won't give him any money. So they sell a bunch of overpriced everything on his stupid store, on his stupid site. So yeah, he's one of the worst people that has ever lived, just in general. So they can throw the book at him, and that would be nice. I'm surprised he wasn't held in contempt, or haven't had any perjury brought up, because I'm pretty sure he was lying on the stand for at least a couple days that they knew about, because they had all of his texts. So yeah, it will be nice to see one of these assholes get some consequences, even if it's probably nothing he can't handle, because
what his show, some part of him was going through bankruptcy, but I think it was like InfoWars went through bankruptcy.
Well, he
himself was not.
He declared bankruptcy, but that was a legal strategy, not reality.
Right. Because I think he was still doing a show on InfoWars while he was on trial.
Oh, of course.
Yes.
So yeah, have we beaten that dead horse? Unfortunately, not literally enough.
Probably.
Yeah. Okay.
One thing we're saying is, please, for goodness sakes, don't watch his stuff.
Yeah.
Watch the news about him getting taken to town, but don't watch his stuff.
Al just said in the chat, there's a clip from today's trial, that he's asked, have you been having the judge's face in flames on your show? He says no, and then they show the clip of exactly that. Is that not perjury? I don't understand how all of the times that he's lied on the on the stand, it doesn't seem to equal perjury. Huh.
But I'd say he could always do the MTG thing and go, I don't recall.
I don't think he can. I don't think he is physically capable of not just flapping his gums whenever
That's true.
The opportunity presents itself.
Yeah, he's one of those who just can't stop talking.
And not like Brian, who's been oddly quiet. Brian, are you muted again?
I'm not muted.
No, okay.
I wanted to give everybody else a chance to speak for once. And when you said that, unlike Brian, I was trying to think of a witty way to come back, and you beat me to it. So I mentioned earlier that I have mixed feelings about the fact that so this is being that his trial is being live streamed, and there are certain states where this is allowed and certain where it's not. For example, you remember there was the case years ago, Casey Jones or somebody. There's a mom whose daughter disappeared, and then all the signs started pointing to, she knew something about her daughter disappearing, and all Nancy Grace or somebody
Did
started getting in on
did you say
this, and all
Casey
that.
Jones?
She did. It's Casey Anthony.
Casey Anthony, thank
It's
you.
like
Casey Jones
I was
wears a
like, I
hockey
don't
mask.
remember Casey Jones from the Ninja Turtles being on trial, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Dangerous vigilante finally brought to justice. Yes. Um. But uh. But Anyway. On the one hand, it's good for the public to know, kind of, hey, these are real cases. They involve real people. I think it kind of can bring it home. The problem is that everybody becomes a legal expert. And I'm not trying to say, like, oh, well, he's a lawyer, therefore I'm trying to protect the profession. It's not that. It's just you give people a little bit of news or a little bit of information, all of a sudden everybody thinks they know how it works. And then when the juries don't decide the way you want it to, or you're watching 24/7, think about all the coverage of the uh, Heard Depp trial from a couple months ago, and how people were pulling apart every little thing, and the people that loved Johnny Depp are like, "Oh, look at how she said this. She's clearly lying." And the people that were against Johnny Depp were like, "Oh, look, he's smiling here. He's in it. He's colluding with his lawyers and da da da." So the problem is that everybody pulls these things apart past really what's going on in the courtroom and what the jury is even really allowed to consider most of the time.
And beyond their own
Um,
level of expertise,
and beyond
which
their
is
own level
usually
of
at zero.
expertise. Yeah. And so you have people like rushing to judgment saying, "Well, this was right, this was wrong." Da da da. I mean, think back to the O.J. Simpson trial and how many people were convinced, completely convinced, that he should be found guilty. And you're allowed to have your own opinion of that. I have spent many hours talking to um, professors. Not well, spent a lot of hours talking to professors, but that trial came up more than almost anything else, except for maybe the McDonald's coffee thing, because everybody likes to talk about that in law school. Um, and
The
the
McDonald's
you
coffee thing that all of the media completely misrepresented in every
yes,
conceivable way.
Yeah,
oh
because they
yeah,
just took the line that McDonald's gave them.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, um, but pretty much the unanimous. I hate to use the word verdict, but the unanimous takeaway that I've heard from pretty much every legal scholar is the prosecution in the O.J. Simpson trial lost their case, and it's not. I mean, yes, OJ's attorneys did a good job, but the prosecution simply, whether they thought they had it in the bag or misread the jury or whatever, just did not put on the best case they could put on. And the whole having him try the glove thing on was a stupid, stupid mistake. And they were going for this like big shocking moment, and he was able to be like, "Oh look, it doesn't fit." And it's been sitting in an evidence locker for months, if not over a year, and stuff has dried all over it, and he's probably changed his body shape. So, first of all, he's not going to want for it to fit. And second of all, it may even have been difficult. And instead of becoming this hallmark for their case, it completely backfired. So that's just one of many things that if you actually study the case, the prosecution did not do correctly. And I realized, I've been in the legal profession for a little over a decade. I don't have the expertise of a lot of the people that were in on that case. So I'm not saying that I wouldn't have made mistakes. I'm just saying, hey, if we're kind of analyzing this kind of like the quarterback on Monday, if you're looking at what they did right and what they did wrong, they lost that one. And yet, a lot of America, felt like the jury completely got it wrong, and how dare they, and da da da. So I am glad, for my part, that I live in a state and practice law in a state where cameras are not allowed to be in the courtroom. Um, and I'm sure certain people would say, well, that's so that the government can't, doesn't want people to know what's going on in there, and so that the average Joe is worked over or whatever. And to those people, I'm sure they feel that way. But for me, I'm glad, because it's not only makes me feel like I'm already not preaching to an even bigger audience, but it's less of a distraction, less people. I've done jury trials at this point, multiple, and the thought of America pulling apart my stuff doesn't make me feel great. So yeah, so I just wanted to say, not I'm believe it or not, I'm not really taking a side on this, because I do think that transparency can be a good thing, but it's like the internet. I mean, am I glad that anyone can have a voice? Sure, we're here doing a podcast. We have a platform. We're able to talk to you about stuff from Magic to Alex Jones, and everything in between.
Buh.
Um, but so it's great that we have that. But if we have a voice, then so does Alex Jones. So where do you draw the line? And if you don't draw the line, then it's up to individual people who are listening and watching videos to apply their own common sense, and sometimes that falls flat. So, yeah, internet. It's the greatest invention and greatest weapon we've ever given to and against ourselves.
It's true. Hey, the White House has declared monkeypox a public health emergency since we've been on this call.
Okay. I think New York had already individually made that call, but I had seen an article earlier today that federal government was considering it.
Y'all are hearing Brian roboting too, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure.
Really? How long have I been roboting?
I mean, not
very long.
not bad, but it sounds
It was
like
in
you're
the-
moving your mouth away from the mic. But I know that's not what you're doing.
It's not, yeah, because I've actually, with the headset, it's staying stable.
Yeah.
So just let me know if it continues. But so monkeypox, huh?
Yeah.
Alex Jones into another illness. Okay.
Right?
Right.
Yeah. Some of the public, like the media's handling of monkeypox has been bad. Monkeypox is not a gay disease. Like, I don't know why they wanted to focus on that in the media, but monkeypox you can get from casual contact, and apparently it's becoming a big enough problem. Great. We're still in the middle of the other pandemic.
Yeah, we're not done with the other one.
Wear a mask. It's like no masks anymore, and it drives me up the wall. Like when I see someone with a mask on, and when I'm out door dashing, I really want to be like, thank you. But oh well. So yeah, heads up. That's been a new thing. Yeah, I don't know if they're like intentionally trying to demonize it as the new version of AIDS, but that seems to be the effect they're having. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I think that might just be the messaging ended up that way just because, salacious stuff pulls more eyeballs.
I mean that, yeah. Which you'd think a disease called monkeypox that's getting worse would be salacious enough without having to be like, and the gays are getting it. So yeah, everyone in the States and elsewhere, I assume, I have not been keeping track, but be safe, keep an eye out. Vaccines are available. I don't know where, but I know they're a thing.
Yeah, you just have to look in to see where they are.
Yeah. Lord have mercy. Is there anything fun to talk about? What have you guys been up to?
Well, my thing is, I j- just with all my running arounds and everything, I actually have not sat down and read a book in a really long time. And when I say a really long time, I'm saying like probably well over a year that I've actually, aside from things like, a D&D, book, like the player's guide. I would not consider that, I sat down and read a book.
Mhm.
But I have actually um, been trying to set time to read books, and so I had a Kindle that has sat unused for a very long time, and I broke my Kindle out, and I've actually been reading. For me, my genre of interest is the BattleTech series, and so I actually have read two books. I'm into the third book now of one of the BattleTech books, and I have thoroughly been enjoying myself getting to actually read books. It's enough where normally I'd be like, I'm gonna go play a video game for a bit. I actually have not wanted to do that. I've been like, I want to sit down and read my book, and it has
Nice.
resulted in me being telling the kids, no, you're not going to be on screens. You're going to go. Like we've been going to the library, like the local library, and I've been making them get books, and we've actually been like, you're going to read a book. You're going to read like 50 pages. You're going to read a book. And so I feel like I've been doing much better and have been, again, enjoying myself reading a book. But I also think it's been good for the kids to not be on a screen and to actually be working on reading over the summer instead of wasting their brains away. Yes, like that.
Now, I just want to point out, Dirk, how old you sound when you say wasting their brains away, because I'm sure your parents said that exact thing to you about playing video games when you were a kid, and you rolled your eyes
Well,
at them, and look at you, you're fine.
well, no. Their problem is if they were playing a video game, that's one thing. Although I don't want them to be playing video games literally all day. My thing is they want to watch YouTube, and what they want to watch on YouTube are things that I don't approve of. Like they use profanity. It's like one of them is some person's channel where they do like a spaghetti person who does things and tries to get to the finish line, and he gets
What?
like shot with arrows, and I don't know what game it is or the streamer's name or anything. But Leighton will watch it, and I'm like, I do not approve of this. And so there's been many times where I've been like, no, you're not watching that. No, find something else. And so it's been nice knowing that he's not on a screen where he's watching something that I definitely don't approve of, because it's not that I don't think it's funny or things like that. It's he's Leighton is 9 years old. He doesn't need to be listening to people dropping the F bomb. He doesn't need to be watching people, watching little things get gored and cut to pieces for a 9 year old. And so that's sort of the reason why I've been like, oh, yeah, you're going to read a book. Because when he moves into fourth grade, they're going to be required to read chapter books. That's an expectation on his part. And so I feel like that I'm helping him at least not regress to where he's like, I just want to read comic books. Not to say that's a bad thing, but that's not what you can do. That's not what you're supposed to be doing in school. You actually have to read a book.
I like the way Dirk anticipated what I was about to say. Hey!
Well, again, if all books were comic books, I wouldn't be having an issue with it. But when it's, no, you have to be able to read, a chapter book, and all he's done is watched YouTube all summer, then there's going to be a period where he's, be like, I don't want to read the book, and then you're going to have that fight of, no, you're going to read a book because the school expects you to, and have to deal with that fight. before he finally does what he's supposed to do. So this is me preempting him so that when he has to be reading books, it's like, you're going to do it. Because I'm going to make you do it. Like I did over the summer. So.
Get him. Yeah, as a person who plays video games on YouTube and does occasionally swear, yeah, read a book.
Well, and again, hopefully the audience is not a bunch of like 7-year-olds who are watching, all that stuff. Well, and even for me personally, there's a difference between I'm playing this game to show you what it can do. I'm going to try and show, I'm going to break the game and because this is one of the things you can do. There's a difference between that and I'm going to play this game and I'm going to swear at it. And, there's at least a little, you could argue, well, I'm being shown how to play the game. As opposed to, I'm just going to do this, swear, and just, do stuff that just has no intrinsic value to it.
Sort of like Happy Wheels. I got you. I can't tell if that was a grunt of recognition.
Yeah, I mean, kind of, sort of, yeah.
Because Happy Wheel streamers or YouTube people or whatever are essentially do stupid crap and scream at it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that. Someone a very long time ago was like, "Hey, Chewie, are you going to play any Happy Wheels?" And I was like, "No." Thank you,
Well,
though.
that's the thing that drives me.
You did for a little bit.
No.
What am I thinking of?
I don't know. I have no idea how to. I don't even know how to play Happy Wheels. I think it's a browser game, actually. Oh, you're probably thinking of. What was it called? Happy Room.
No, there was one where people and vehicles and weird obstacle courses and
Guts and Glory.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking of.
But at least that was an actual game that had actual, goals.
Well, and the thing that drives me the most nuts are the people who
nuts.
Yeah, most. Are the people who play a game and then they scream and yell, and it's like in OBS you can go in and say, okay, you don't want it to go past red or go off and everything. It's almost like that they never fixed that option in OBS, and so when they scream, it's just
it peaks the
like
mic,
ear-piercing loud.
Yeah, I have seen a lot of stuff that seems to want to peak the mic intentionally, and that drives me up the wall.
And that's some of the stuff the kids want to watch, and as soon as they hear, I'm like, no, turn it off. You are not allowed to be on that channel anymore. Because having YouTube experience being like, you can't be in that video. Well, they have more videos where they do the exact same thing. So you can't just be like, no on that video, no on that video. You'd be like, no, you are not allowed to go to that channel anymore. That fixes that issue.
If I'm sitting across the room and I feel something stab me in the eardrum, that's a no for me, dog.
I just don't understand and again, this is my personal opinion and everything. I just don't understand how they keep subscribers when, okay, you do something silly. There's a difference between, messed up and this, and then just screaming so loud that it my ears are bleeding.
I mean, I hate to say this,
or that there's like 5 of them on there together, all screaming at the same time.
Yeah, I hate to say this, Dirk. I don't actually, but that's literally just you being old.
I know. Well, I'll just be old.
I mean, I can't stand
parent.
it, but at least I understand it. Like, I get it. Kids like stupid crap.
Yeah, they do.
But
It's true.
think of the crap we watched when we were kids. Our parents thought that was stupid too.
Yeah.
Although, in comparison, I think ours is not quite as stupid.
Not quite.
We think that, but really, I mean,
Ours was, some, TV network decided, we're gonna experiment and we're gonna do this and everything. This is purely public content that people choose to watch and choose to make that has no intrinsic value.
Yeah, like there's a big difference between Ren and Stimpy, which, let's be real, was incredibly stupid.
Oh yeah.
And some jackass screaming at a video game directly into his microphone on the internet. And yes, I know this makes us all sound old, but I think we're all either in or about to be in our 40s, so we're allowed. Bite me.
Yes.
Yes.
Get off my lawn.
I'm pretty sure Mike was the young guy on the block, so.
Yeah, he's just
Yeah.
a baby. Have you seen... Okay, you guys don't live on the internet like I do, but some jackass millionaire dude who peddles his here's how millionaires act nonsense on social media had a tweet blow up recently that was like, by the age of 30, you should have friends that talk about and not... And the not stuff was fun things, It's like, you should have friends that talk about business and finance and not friends that talk about pop culture and video games. And
and like politics and
I think
video
politics
games,
was
right?
in there with the shouldn't be talking about, yeah.
Right, exactly. Which I thought was weird. Like, you should stick to your own stuff and how much money you're making and not talk about how messed up the world is.
Well, yeah,
the people,
because
the people with money will figure it out.
But like some of the responses to that I've seen and takeoffs on it have just been the best thing ever, including the really deadpan ones, like, by the age of 30, you should have made 30 revolutions around the sun, at least. Stop it. Stop it. But I saw one that said that I actually retweeted. Hang on, let me find it. By the age of 41, which happens to be my age, you should have at least one injury from sleeping wrong. And I was like, oh, come on! Because I've had multiple injuries from sleeping wrong over the last few years. Wake up, and I've pulled a muscle in my back that wasn't pulled when I went to sleep. Wake up, and my whole shoulder hurts, and I can't figure out why. Like I said, we're old. It's weird. Mike's the youngest one here, but I'm pretty sure I'm the youngest one here. Which is funny, because I think I'm the oldest one here, or at least close to it. Dirk might have me by a few months.
Yeah.
I think you are.
Oh,
You
crap. All right. Pipe down.
You and I are the same
Old.
same birth year, but I think your birthday's before mine.
I mean, I'm in November.
Okay, so you're not the same birth year as me.
Are you an 81er?
Yeah.
Ah, you're just a baby. Yeah, and that's probably because I don't have like all the responsibilities that age you. Other than rent and bills. So that's probably why I'm the youngest in like headspace. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Anyway. So, Mike, what's up with you? Anything you want to talk about?
Let's see. trying to think about trying to think about interesting things that have been going on.
I said before the stream to these guys, be sure that you jot down anything that you want to talk about, because invariably when we get done and with the stream, someone goes, "Oh, I meant to talk about something, something," and it's always either Brian or Mike.
Usually, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it's like, oh, it'll be easy. I'll be able to. I'll have it this time. But no, why would I have it this time when I don't any other time? But I had to travel to Chicago for a few days last week for work. That was neat. I'd never been to Chicago before.
Did you get shot?
No, I did not get shot.
Because if you listen to the internet, or at least the anti-gun control people, Chicago, if you step foot in it, you're gonna get shot in the face immediately. They love to, anytime you bring up crime is going down and gun control and all that, they're like, "Have you been to Chicago lately?" Like, have you? And no, they haven't. So, most of them have never been to Chicago, but they love to bring it up as a talking point.
Yeah. I mean, it seemed fine. By the time I got there, it was kind of late, and I walked from the L train station to my hotel after dark, and it seemed fine. So I don't know.
So you didn't get robbed or shot.
No, I did not.
You might be the most outlying statistical outlier in history, or they might all be full of crap.
Maybe. Yeah, it was cool. I got to spend some time in a big city, and I did a small amount of sightseeing one evening when people at work didn't have anything planned for getting together in the evening. So I ended up meeting with some of my wife's relatives who live just outside of the city. They came in and met me, and we had dinner and went some places. And while we were riding around, they were pointing out things, and it's like, ooh, ah. But yeah, it was fun. And I'll probably end up going back there every once in a while, because my boss is in Chicago, and just out of coincidence, like about half of the US based people in my group are in the Chicago area. So probably go up there every few months. It's just for the group to get together and talk about stuff in person.
Neat.
I've also been back to reading books, but I haven't. Well, yeah, I have. I did read a fiction book not too long ago. A lot of the books that I have been reading over the past couple years are like it's nonfiction stuff, and sometimes that goes kind of slow because some of them are more textbooky than others. But there was one recently. It's called We Have No Idea, and it's like a pop science book, written by the hosts of a podcast that I've listened to. I'm way behind on it, of course, but I've been listening to it here and there the past few years, called Daniel and Jorge Explain the Universe. And it's a science podcast. They talk about lots of different topics. It's mostly physics related stuff.
Nice.
Like, because their areas of expertise are physics and engineering. But yeah, the book is called We Have No Idea, and it reads really well. And it talks about a lot of really like neat, important, in-depth science stuff with like 0% mathiness. So it's really accessible, even for someone who does like a little bit of mathiness here and there, like me. Yeah, so that was really good.
Neat.
But then the most recent one I picked up is just a book of like classic comedy plays. And sometimes reading a play goes quickly, sometimes it doesn't. like they're arranged in chronological order. So the first one is The Clouds by Aristophanes, and it's funny, but just the stilted language that Greek comedy is sometimes translated into is kind of thick sometimes and hard, and takes some concentration to read and follow.
I gotcha.
But yeah, it's just people hold up uh, a lot of the classic work as like, oh, it's just amazing highbrow stuff. But some of it you're reading and it's like, the basic beats of any Aristophanes play are, get a load of this dumbass. Here's a dick joke. You're welcome.
That sounds like something I could get behind.
Yeah, but it is, thoughtful social commentary behind it all. There's a point to it. Like The Clouds is like he's poking fun at Socrates and the philosopher schools. And so basically, there's kind of the poets and playwrights kind of held a grudge against the philosophers after they showed up, because before the poets were where people got their wisdom and everything, but the philosophers showed up and turned it all into cold math and science, and there was some friction there. So The Clouds is him taking a jab at Socrates and other philosophers.
Huh. That's pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
A modern version of this would be, I guess, Letterkenny.
Interesting.
Which alternates back and forth between things that are very clever and then, dick and fart jokes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you go back and think about like ancient, like classical Greeks and Romans would love comedy like that. They would love NASCAR. They would love pro wrestling. When you think about all the the entertainment that they did engage in, they're just like regular folks.
Well, I think wasn't there one whose one of his plays involved actually throwing poo at someone else, or like the audience throwing poo or something like that, where it actually involved the throwing of excrement in the play, because it's one of the few plays that actually was able to survive and made its way down to us and everything. I don't remember who it was, but
yeah, that doesn't sound immediately familiar.
Dirk, are you thinking of a South Park episode?
no.
Yeah, one of my favorite, to go back to Sandman for a minute, one of my favorite completely understated jokes is a story that starts like 200 years ago or so, around the time of Shakespeare, I think. Or Shakespeare might have been...
That'd be like 4 or 5.
Yeah, wait, no, Mad Hetty's 200 years old. So this is, Hobbes way older than that. Anyway, but it takes place, I think it's 100 years before Shakespeare, because I think Shakespeare shows up in the second part of the story.
Okay.
But it takes place in a pub in England somewhere, and there are just speech bubbles that are background chatter. And then there's one that takes place at the end of the story, it takes place in a bar or a club or something in the modern age, which was in the 90s at the time it was being written.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the same speech bubbles are there talking about the government and religion and telling a dirty joke, and they're the same exact thing across 600 years or so, and it just made me happy the first time that I read it. The point being, the rabble doesn't change by and large.
Yeah.
Or to put it much less appropriately, farts are always funny. Which is why anytime I get a character in Rogue Legacy with IBS, I will take it and then giggle. Because farts are always funny. Jar said I zone out for a bit and Dirk's talking about throwing poo. Yeah, that's how this works. Huh.
Play about the farts is called The Clouds.
So the one that Mike literally just spent like 10 minutes talking
sorry.
about.
Yeah, I guess I haven't gotten to the throwing. I guess I haven't gotten to the throwing poo part. I haven't read the Clouds before. I've read Lysistrata. I've read the Assembly Women. Something else I can't think of right now. I can't remember the titles of the Plautus comedies that I've read.
Way to go, Dirk. You managed to drop spoilers on a play that's very, very old.
Yeah.
What's next? He's gonna tell us the ending of the Aeneid. Does Odysseus make it home, Dirk? Does
Oh my
he?
god. Jesus dies at the end, but don't worry, he gets better.
King Kong falls off the building. Godzilla walks back into the sea.
Oh man, I just rewatched Godzilla King of the Monsters again. Actually at the end of the month because it was falling off of HBO Max on the 31st, so I watched it on the 30th. I remember now. And God, that's so good. It's the third of the legendary MonsterVerse movies, because first was Godzilla and then was Kong Skull Island. Then they did, pretty sure Skull Island was next. And then they did Godzilla King of the Monsters. And it is just the best thing. Like, especially the last, 30, 40 minutes of that movie are just pure kaiju bliss.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is glorious watching, like, realistically rendered, not dudes in rubber suits. Not that there's anything wrong with dudes in rubber suits, but that personally never did much for me, even when I was a kid. I say rubber suits like Godzilla's suit wasn't... the various Godzilla suits weren't works of art.
Yeah.
So... But still, dudes in suits has never really done it for me all that much. But the CGI work and just the scale of the creatures in King of the Monsters, it's just brilliant. And it's so artfully done. Like, I tweeted about it and posted I googled screenshots from Godzilla King of the Monsters and just posted 4 of them, and any one of them, like, you could put on a poster and put on your wall and people will be like, damn, that's awesome. And that was just 4. There's so many frames from that movie that are just beautiful and awesome at the same time. And yeah, I love it. I highly recommend the legendary MonsterVerse movies. It's those 3 and Godzilla vs. Kong. Or Kong vs. Godzilla, whichever one it was called. But King of the Monsters is the best one. Aw, yeah. Clearly, I'm the only one that's seen it.
I've been wanting to watch them. I just have not. I don't know if it's just that I haven't gotten around to it, or it's just not on one of the handful of platforms that I watch and everything. I don't know. I haven't seen any of the Godzilla movies. And the sad part is when I was much younger, I had a whole bunch of the
Toho.
What's Toho? I have like probably about 7 or 8 Toho Godzilla movies, including the
Tohei?
first one. And, like Godzilla 1985, which to me was one of the best ones, and the ones that spanned that distance, like Godzilla and Sun, Godzilla versus the Smog Monster. Had all of those movies and watched them to the point where the VHS tapes started to have issues
Yeah.
and everything whenever it would get to certain parts, because it'd be like, that was so cool, rewind, watch it again, things like that. But I have not caught up on the more recent ones.
I've seen all of them. I didn't see Kong in theaters. I don't remember why, but I've seen the rest in theaters, and I highly recommend them. Even the first one, which is you spend way too much time with the jarhead dude who still looks like he's 15, even though dude's somewhere in his 30s probably. It's the kid from Kick-Ass, but older and bigger and with no hair and in a soldier getup, and they had Bryan Cranston for a while in that movie, and then it's all jarhead dude, and it's just awful. But the Godzilla bits make it worth it. Oh yeah. Like it's the weakest of the 4, and it's still well worth watching. I think they're all still on HBO Max except for King of the Monsters, which, like I said, just fell off. Apparently it's on TNT and TBS now. So they must have just licensed it out for some period of time, and it'll probably be back on HBO Max at some point. Assuming HBO Max still exists, that's a whole other thing that's going on. The new boss at HBO Max is apparently trying his damnedest to destroy everything, it seems. Like the big thing that made the headlines was Batgirl got canceled. The movie that's basically done.
So I saw that as well, and I thought to myself, oh, Chewie's going to be sad about that.
I mean, I don't know why I'd be sad about that, but okay.
Well, comic book movies and all that.
Like most comic book movies these days, if they're not part of the MCU, aren't really all that great. So, But like, they just up and canceled it. The other big one that was canceled was, well, not really big, but it was Scoob Holiday Haunt, which was a holiday, like a Christmassy Scooby-Doo CGI film that was just canceled, even though animation for it was finished as of Friday. Like, last week. Animation was done. The movie is 95% done, and he just canceled it. Like, what? But that's not all he's doing. He's one of those Trumpy people, unfortunately. And like everything that involves non-white people seems to be getting the axe. Imagine that. And a bunch of movies that were Max originals just disappeared off of this platform that they were exclusive to. They weren't put on the leaving soon thing that HBO Max has. Like, oh, on this month, this day, this movie's going away. No, they just vanished. One of them was the Witches remake with Anne Hathaway that I kept meaning to watch, and now I can't because it got removed. No one seems to know why. But yeah, there's a lot. Like, I spent a good chunk of yesterday just watching Twitter as people were like, oh my god, this is what he's done now. Oh, look, now this. And it's like, is he trying to kill HBO Max? Because it was like one of the most successful of the more recent streaming platforms, if not the most successful, and like he's just slashing stuff left and right, and it looks kind of terrifying. Also, it's really terrible when you put all of this time and effort into a film and it's almost done. It's about to come out, and then some suit goes, nah. And now no one's going to see it. Because if they do, it seems to be that it seems that they're canceling them all as a tax write-off. And if they do it as a tax write-off, that means they can't release it in any way that would be monetized. So they can't put it on HBO Max. They can't release it to theaters. They can't nothing. So like, what the hell, bruh? Yeah. And apparently today, they announced something like HBO Max skews male and has these things, and Discovery Plus or whatever it's called skews female and has these characteristics, and people have been retweeting it with the two genders, HBO Max and Discovery Plus. Like, what the hell? Do you suits not hear yourselves? Like, what? But anyway,
Discovery unfortunately went down the tube when they decided that reality shows were more important than actually having
anything
real,
remotely
like,
interesting.
content. Yeah, let's do a show about people digging for gold up in the Ozarks. Okay, well, there's like even Dirty Jobs on Discovery was interesting because, okay, here's the job. It's a dirty job, but it's a necessary job that, it was at least informative.
Yeah, Dirty Jobs is not a reality show in the way that you mean reality show these days.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying that, it was on Discovery. It was, even though it was sort of a gross show and all that, it was interesting and it was informative. Whereas when you talk about, whatever is like Gold Rush or whatever the show is up in Canada, where it's here's what these guys do. It's like, or Naked and Afraid and everything. It's like, that's a reality show, and there's nothing in the show that actually has any information. I remember watching Discovery and watching Wings, and it was like the show you went to if you wanted to watch anything World War related. Like, they would just here's this stuff about this, and then History Channel jumped on. They split off, and then I was watching History all the time, and now History Channel is aliens.
Yeah, Pawn Stars and aliens.
And so I was like, what happened to the net? Was sort of like, what happened to these networks that this is what the network is about, and now they don't do anything related to that at all?
I mean, I can tell you if you want to know. Reality shows are incredibly cheap to produce, comparatively.
Yes, and people watch it because they're like, look at how poor those schmucks are.
Yeah, and people watch it because
I live so much better life than they do.
Well, that too, yeah. Like, why did Here Comes Honey Boo Boo become a freaking thing? Turns out, it's because of the guy who now owns HBO Max. He was the force behind Here Comes Honey Boo Boo, which should tell you everything you need to know about him.
That makes way too much sense.
Right? So, hey, B.
Hey. I've been here. I just let other people talk. Amazing.
Sure you have.
I too have read some books. I go through
What?
phases where I read a couple, I enjoy reading, and then I go back into other types of games and TV and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, for Christmas I got two Stephen King books and two John Grisham books. And yeah, I know John Grisham, lawyer, haha. Don't always like to take the work home. I don't watch Law and Order and that sort of stuff, but John's books are entertaining, and so John, Mr. Grisham, it's not like I know him.
Johnny
They're
boy.
entertaining. Johnny boy. And both of these books that I got for Christmas and I got around to reading were actually continuations of previous books he had done. One was The Judge's List, which was a sequel or a continuation of a story he wrote a couple of years ago about a spoiler alert, a corrupt judge, and the organization that kind of oversees judges in Florida kind of being alerted to the fact that this isn't just a bad judge. Like, they've made some bad calls, but they may be actually involved with the mob and some other things. And so the judge's list is a follow up to that. And then I reread the last book I had, or the most recent book that I have for John Grisham is A Time for Mercy, which is a follow up to his first book, A Time to Kill. And there was a middle book, Sycamore Row, in there. But though I think he really got a lot of attention around the time that he published The Firm, and that was made into a film with Tom Cruise. That I think was the one that really kind of put him on the map. But he put out A Time to Kill first, and there's always something about an author's first work. Like, you can tell they don't know if they're ever going to get published again, and so in some ways, it's like who's Dan Brown, and everybody really likes the Da Vinci Code, and I get why. I'm not being like, oh no, I don't like the Da Vinci Code, but he actually put out they actually made it into a movie, but they did it later because they wanted to make Da Vinci Code first. Uh,
What,
but
Angels and Demons?
Angels and Demons came out first, and again, to me, it felt a little more inventive. The
And he
story
wrote
kind of,
several books before that.
yeah, did he?
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
well, maybe this is just how I'm coming across them. In which case, that's my own personal bias. But I really really enjoyed A Time to Kill, and Sycamore Row was very good too. A Time for Mercy I thought was pretty good. I don't know if it's as strong. A lot of his stuff is standalone, and the characters don't necessarily cross over. So it's kind of interesting to see some of these where he does build on it. Um, and I don't know if I enjoy some of those maybe as much as some of his standalone, but it's funny. I read the author's notes, and he even said, "I haven't read." He says in his author's notes, "I haven't read these other two books in years." So some of my editors and other people had to correct me when I said the wrong thing, and I'm like, "Yeah, I actually could notice a bit because there were one or two characters that just don't get mentioned," and I'm like, "Whatever happened to so and so?" But whatever. And then from Stephen King, um, shoot, well, I've got my Kindle right here. Um, I have finished both of these, and I've actually been rereading. I think it's called Billy Summers. Yeah, Billy Summers, and Later, which Later felt like a really fast read, and Billy Summers is a longer one, but I really enjoyed that as well. So yay books.
Nice.
Yeah. And then what will happen is I've finished these four, and I'm rereading one or two, and then I probably won't pick up another one until closer to winter because I enjoy them while I'm doing them. I'm enjoying them while I'm reading them, but I don't always actively seek them out, especially when I get busy with stuff around the house, work, consignment stuff, work, other stuff like that. So yeah. But otherwise, I'm doing all right. I've been quizzing Chewie on his progression through Final Fantasy VII Remake. And did you also get the interlude or inter whatever
Intergrade. Well, no. I
intergrade?
think it was called
Because
the Interlude on the PS5, but yeah,
I I
that was
have
part
not
of the
played
whole
through
thing.
that. Good. I when you get into that, I won't have any comments because I have not done it, and I've tried to stay spoiler free on that within, excuse me, within reason. With the thought that I'll probably get it at some point, but haven't yet.
Oh, did you find a PS5 at some point?
No, but I haven't really looked.
Because I'm pretty
Is
sure
it
it's
only
only on the
on
PS5.
PS5?
Yeah,
Okay, well then I guess I don't.
Or
really
if you have, if you get it
on Steam.
on Steam, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty neat that they're both included here.
But Chewie texted me on Saturday that he encountered a certain boss, and I think in you hated that boss.
The damn
We had a
Hell
little
House.
discussion about, yeah, it's
Very tough boss.
it's punishing. Wait until you do it on hard.
At least on hard, I'll know what to do. Like on normal, I only had fire equipped because I figured we'd be fighting dudes.
Mm,
So
that
I didn't get to
yeah,
take
that would-
advantage of any of the weaknesses except for occasionally fire. So it was a lot of whacking at it with a sword and doing like 2 damage at a time, and occasionally 3. And then I got to see Cloud in a dress.
Nice.
And unlike in the original, it was not played as a joke. Like in the original, oh, Cloud's in a dress. Like, at least that's my memory of it. I could be wrong, but my recollection of it was that the whole thing was played as a big joke. Ah, strong soldier man in a dress. Ah. But in the remake, it wasn't played like that at all.
It wasn't.
Which, and I had forgotten all about it. I was telling them before we started the stream, I had forgotten all about it from the original game because I played the original Final Fantasy VII, back when it was new, and I never played it through it again since because it's a massive game and I didn't have time. I tried again at some point and I don't think I made it out of disc 1. So when it became obvious that we were putting Cloud in a dress, I was like, wait, what? And yeah, it was amazingly well handled. And it made me very happy that Cloud even changed the way he walked and ran when he was in a dress, because you can't run like Cloud when you're wearing that dress. You just can't.
Nope. No, you can't.
So for me to play, because I have the original 7 on the Steam on Steam, to play the game and not even to get the golden chocobo and all that, I have logged 60, looks like 67 hours.
Damn.
And I didn't even unlock everything. Technically, it says right here 93 hours is what it says on mine, but that was with a playthrough where I started it, and like he said, I got part of the way through and was like, I don't want to play it right now. So
yeah,
if I take that first little, take a first little bit off, I'm like, it's well over 60 hours.
Nice.
And that's not even unlocking everything.
Yeah, that was a great game when I was a kid and didn't have anything to do. Just run around and level up my materia and level up my characters, and yeah, hell yeah. I know I beat both of the weapons on the original on the PS1 all those years ago. What are they, Ruby and Emerald? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back on that, I have no idea how I did it. Because like I found a something or other that was like, the worst secret Final Fantasy bosses, and I was bored, so I watched it. And Ruby and Emerald were both on it, and they explained the deal with Ruby and Emerald, and I'm like, I don't remember any of that. Did I do that? Is that how I beat him? What? Like,
I never beat them.
like, did I just level myself up to the point where I just outlasted them? That doesn't sound right. How did I do that? Oh, I remember. I put multicast on Knights of the Round. That's how I beat them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I was told. That's how
Outlasting
you beat them.
seems really difficult. Yeah. They aren't bosses that you just necessarily get stronger to beat. Both of them had gimmicks. Like Ruby would put you down to one party member, or you could go in with one.
Yeah, the strategy was to go in with one person alive and
yeah,
beat them down something unmerciful.
You might, but I remember I beat Ruby by I had linked Doom Train, or maybe it was Hades. I'm not sure if I remember, but I think it might have been Hades. Whichever Esper cast stop, because Ruby is not resistant to stop, and linked it with Knights of the Round. So as soon as you summoned one, you summoned the other, and just did that over and over again.
Wow.
It took a long time.
I bet.
Honestly, for me, Emerald was harder because there was no way to just lock it out. You just had to power through it. And anytime you did something like Knights of the Round, it would respond with an attack that did 10,000 damage. So that was really I don't remember exactly what I did, but ooh boy, taking it back.
Yeah, like I can remember a lot about Final Fantasy IV and Final Fantasy VI, but I played each of them multiple times. 7, stuff like that is just a blur. Like, I barely remember the story of Final Fantasy VII. Like, once you get out of Midgar and it all turns sideways and gets wonky. Like, I have very little memory of any of that. So it'll be neat to see what happens in the remake.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny because it feels like whenever you hear stories of people with PTSD, Final Fantasy VII really comes across as I wonder if this is what these people feel, that little things set them off and send them to a place where that trauma just never goes away, it just keeps coming back. Like I said, it really just strikes me as what people with PTSD experience.
I have absolutely no idea what you mean by that, and I'm afraid to ask.
Well, they see people that they remembered. They go back to disasters.
Oh, you don't mean playing Final Fantasy. You mean the characters in the story.
The characters in the story.
Oh, thank God. I'm like, Dirk, are you really making this comparison?
Like
what the hell is wrong with you? Okay, no, that's not what you meant at all.
Cloud stories. Like, I wonder if this is what PTSD is like for people. The way, like, the experiences he goes throughout the story. And I think the remake brings it even more to the front.
Yeah, a bunch of his flashbacks that I've had thus far, I really feel for the dude. I'm like, oh, dude, and then he stands up with his big ass sword and is like, oh my God, why is this game so anime?
Yeah.
I was trying to explain this to Amanda and her kid. So the kid loves anime, and so like the more I play of this, the more I want to tell the kid, I think you would like this game, at least the cutscenes, because everyone is so anime. And they laughed the hardest at me when I was trying to explain how, like, watching a bad dub, like, someone will say something to Cloud and the camera will cut to Cloud and he will go completely unnecessarily. Like,
he always has the like he's been caught off guard.
Yeah.
By the words that are being said.
Yeah, he's got the or the and that's it. And I'm like, he's nodding or having a facial expression. The voice actor doesn't need to add to that because it's really stupid. Stop it. And every time he does it, I'm like, oh my god, why is this so anime? And then Aerith and Tifa are both stereotypical anime characters as far as body language and the hands on the hips and the wagging the finger, and everyone keeps giving a arm straight out thumbs up. And I'm like, stop! That's become a thing that the kid and I do to each other now because they thought it was so funny when I was trying to explain this. And I'm like, and then this all the time. That's how we communicate now is arms straight out, thumbs up, like right in each other's faces. Like not that it's detracting from my enjoyment of the game, obviously. I've not been able to stick to just Final Fantasy Fridays because I keep wanting to play more. So I do, because it's my stream, I can do that. But it's so weirdly anime all the time. Which I guess it makes sense because the character, like the gameplay itself, like I've got a giant sword and spiky hair, and I can jump 30 feet up in the air and swing my sword 8 times before I land. Which is, anime as all hell. But then seeing them be anime in the cutscenes, like a different flavor of anime in the cutscenes, for some reason just weirds me out and makes me giggle.
Well, again, it's just like Advent Children, where it's like gravity works sometimes,
Sorta.
but then there are times when it's like, that's not how gravity works. Like, it should not be possible for a person to jump into the air and jump 40 feet, land on somebody else's bike, and be able to, like, cut a bike in half. And somehow, in the process of cutting this person's bike in half, or, cutting someone's bike to the point where it doesn't work, to then magically be able to land back on your bike and be able to be like, yeah, I just did that. And then drive off. That should not be, it's not physically possible.
The thing I remember the most about Advent Children, which is virtually nonsensical, I'm not gonna lie. Like, you watch Advent Children for the action, not for what passes for a story.
This is how things actually work.
But, like, the thing I remember the most about Advent Children is, like, the entire climax of it is people throwing Cloud upwards in ways that are physics defying.
Yes.
Like, everybody chucks Cloud upwards so he can go up there to get Sephiroth.
You can do it.
Yeah, and
You're
then gives him a wink and a thumbs up or a grin or whatever. And I'm like, at this point, as fast as he's been moving and as far as he's been thrown, he should be in orbit. Like, he should be able to see the curvature of the Earth at this point. Yeah, when we saw Advent Children back in, like, high school or something, like, Scott and I lost our minds. But only because it was Final Fantasy characters doing crazy stuff, and they were rendered really prettily. But nothing else
At
actually
the time, it was
mattered.
beautiful.
I watched it again. God, it's been several years ago now, but I don't remember anything holding up except for the action.
I don't remember whether
It was while we were in colleges when it came out.
Yeah, so that means...
Oh, it was? Oh.
Yeah.
So if it was during that time frame...
Oh, yeah, it was 05.
Then I guess I did watch it with my brother, but I don't remember anything about it.
So that means I watched it with Scott over the summer rather than in high school. My bad. Yeah. But anyway.
I actually didn't play it until I got to, like, play the game until I was in college.
Really?
I think freshman year of college is when I first played the game. Because the PS1 came out, I think, in '99.
No.
Check it.
Final Fantasy VII released in 97.
97?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I was going to say, no, it wasn't 99, because I played this in, like, high school.
I was still on the Super Nintendo in high school.
Nice. God,
Like,
I love a good Super Nintendo.
I was playing Final Fantasy VI, and I was playing Chrono Trigger and Secret of Mana. That was my thing back in high school. Right there, Cloud.
Wow, it's almost 10:30.
Yeah. This has been fun, but I've got to go. So, but this has been good to talk to you guys.
Yeah, this was entertaining.
Yes.
So, chat. If any of you are still here, we appreciate y'all coming to hang out, and all of you listening or watching later, appreciate y'all coming to hang out. Be sure to check out The Deep End. I will try to get the next JWST video up. If not before this goes out, then soon after. Yay. But yeah, we will stop now. So, thank you all so very much for joining us. Be sure to let us know what you think of, I don't know, make fun of Alex Jones, or what you think of Final Fantasy VII, or any of the other nonsense we talked. Can you read books? Do you read books? Are you a person who screams loudly on the internet? Whatever else we talked about, I don't remember now. So, yeah, everyone have a good night, and we will see you later.